It is 9 o'clock. We're going to keep this show short today. And we're going to, actually, I'm going to leave the watch on my wrist, I think. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. It is Saturday morning. That means we are doing some joint mobility. We're going to move our joints through their working range of motion, and we're going to be gentle to our body as we help wake it up for the rest of the day. All right? So let's get into the groove. We always start moving from the outside of our body in towards the center of our body. I'm gonna just have this phone camera over here. It looks a little smudgy. Maybe it's just because the room is dark. We're gonna start with some hand stuff, all right? I want you to open your hands as wide as possible. We're gonna make fists. And we're gonna open, we're gonna make fists. We're gonna open, we're gonna make fists. We're gonna open, we're gonna make fists. Open, fists, open, fists, open, fists. We are trying to get our hands through their maximum range of motion as much as we can, using our own muscles and trying to get through it. User TZ says, thank you for doing this, Ken. You're very welcome. We're gonna keep it really short today though, because I think there's some other activities planned real soon, and will be I'm currently traveling for visiting friends and stuff, so it's I'm in a new location. All right. Morning, everyone. Glad to be back. Had tech issues. Hey, welcome back. I don't know if you had tech issues, if I started the show late, but I appreciate you, True Blue. Once you've made a couple of fists, open up those hands a bunch of times. Your hands are probably going to feel tired, and that's okay, because we're going to move on to the next thing. We're going to do some circles, all right, for the wrists. If you want, you can take one hand, you can grab the other hand. Oh, I'll speak up a little louder, my bad. I don't have a microphone in for this phone because I'm using a backup old phone and it does not work so good. All right, so take one hand, grab the other, work your way through your wrists and keep on bringing your wrists through their full range of motion. It should not hurt. It should be relatively gentle. Remember, this is sort of like a warm-up, and we're just trying to move our body through the range of motion. As you're first starting, it can be a little less, full. And then as you do more, it could be a little bit more full. And I want you to work your way through those wrist joints. I guess it's only one wrist joint. Through that wrist joint, go backwards, go forwards, have some fun. Experiment with how deep you can get your hands to go and rotate. Over time, as you get more comfortable, you know what your maximums are, and you can realize that you can bring your wrist into that maximum with just your muscle power. Feel free to use your muscles to do these rotations. That's up to you. If you can't get super deep into your rotations, use your other hands, push into other things, but when you're strong enough to do it, feel free to just do this. All right, we're gonna move on into our elbows. The elbow joint is usually doing this, back and forth, flexion, extension, but we're gonna do some elbow circles that look a little like this. I want you to tuck your back of the hand to the ribs, like we're doing chicken wings, and I want you to push the hands out, bring it around. Aesthetic Universe 21 on YouTube says, basic warm-ups melt my bones. It might be intense, all right? If you've never done movements like these, we're doing a lot, and we're doing them kind of fast, and that's kind of my fault, because I need to wrap up the show a little faster today. And when I say faster, I'm gonna try and get it done in about half an hour. So it's going to be a slightly shortened show today, but we're gonna get through the joint warm-up. So, as we're going, ribs, back of the hand to the ribs, punch out, and bring it around. We're trying to make little circles happen at that elbow level, and this is just a couple of little tiny general bits of guidance to help you get through it. Once your shoulders up here are exhausted because they're like doing this, they're like, oh my gosh, what's going on with my ribs? You can chill out, let the shoulders down, and we're gonna reverse it, all right? When we go in reverse, we're gonna bring the arms around, and then we're going to pull the back of the hand through. Try to keep your upper arm in more or less the same spot, so that when you do the elbow circles, it's actually happening at your elbow, and it's not just you going like this. All right, that comes later. That's a different thing. Keep going. And once it's done, 10, 15, 20 of these, we're ready to move on into some shoulder circles. You can make these big arm circles if you want. You can focus on just the shoulder joint. They're technically different things, so you can experiment with that, but we're gonna do some arm circles. I said shoulder, but I meant arm. We're going to bring that arm back and around. Try and keep your chest in more or less the same spot so that all the movement is coming from the arm and not from you going hua, 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 because that is going to really confuse you about how much range of motion you're actually getting at the joint. Once you're done, about 10 in one direction, we're going to go and do 10 more in the other way. Take your time, breathe. No need to rush this, but this does not have to be slow. This does not have to be like, it's not that cheap, okay? When I demonstrate, oftentimes I'm a little bit slower just to give people the sense of chill, of calm. You don't have to go that slow. Switch to the other side. We got Found Tamora on YouTube saying hello. Hello, 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 welcome. We do this live show, joint mobility, warm up, and light Monday, Sunday, no, it's not Sunday, it's Saturday morning wake up show to help us get a little looser for the day. And we're doing joint warm-ups, slowly moving through the range of motion available at each joint so that you got a little bit of extra thoughtful movement done in the day. All right, those are the arms going forwards and going backwards. I highly recommend that, especially if you're having some shoulder issues, slowly, gently do a couple more. Not with weight, not with anything crazy, but use your arms' weight to slowly do more of these with control. Don't just go crazy whipping around. That's how you get injured more. But if your shoulders have been a little bit funky, oftentimes doing the motion that you need your shoulder to be doing with very, 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 very low weight, very little resistance is going to be the thing that actually helps make your shoulder get better. If you avoid using a part of your body because it used to be injured, and I'm saying used to be because if you have acute pain, like you injured it yesterday, rest it. But if you have chronic pain, it's been happening for a long time, oftentimes you should check out whether or not moving it is a better option than letting it rest. Most of the time, unless you have something really serious in the structural parts in the bones, your muscles, your tendons will only get better when you challenge them and force them to move. And hopefully you give that a try. All right, we're down into the shoulders. If you want, we can do some shoulder circles. And lift those shoulders up, shrug, bring them down, up and down. Turn it into small circles instead of just up and down. Bring your chest together, your shoulders together in the front. Bring your shoulders together in the back. And get those shoulder blades moving up and down and up and down and up and down. We don't do this very often on this show, but I'm going to try and teach you another one because this feels a little bit more complex. We're going to take our hand, we're going to extend it out over here, right? Palms up. This hand I want you to extend palms down. But I want you to sort of try your best to get this line right here. From here, I want you to look over and rotate your whole body this way. And then I want you to rotate your whole body that way and have your arms switch sides. It's a little complicated because I have to be really far away to show you my whole arm. But what we're doing is rotating the arm through your full shoulder. We're going to do opposite direction on each side. We're going to work our shoulder blades and the upper back, the chest muscles. Remember, this is a joint warm-up. The goal is to move your body through the joints. You don't have to flex as hard as possible. That's not the goal. Okay? So if you can get yourself through the motion without flexing super hard, that will make it easier on your body. All right? Faith is talking about tension in the neck. We will address that in just a second, actually. So hold up. We'll look at it. Keep going with the shoulders for a little bit. This is an all-in-one move because you're going forward and back. And then we're going to move on into the neck. All right. The neck has three main axes where it is supposed to move pretty well. All right. That is looking left, looking right, looking left, looking right. That's one. Chin down, chin up. Chin down, chin up. That's two. And then finally, the third way your neck is designed to move is bring your ear down to your shoulder. All right? We're going to do a couple reps on each side. look left, keep your chest upright, stand up straight, left, right, left, right, left, right, up, down, up, down, up, down, tilt the head, 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 and that is probably enough to get you started. But now that we've talked about it, now that you've felt the effect of trying to look directly to the left, look to the right, I hope you add it into your regular stuff throughout the day, because we're going to talk about these neck and shoulder issues. If you're carrying a lot of tension in the neck, probably you got to figure out how to stop tensing up those muscles, right? Like the root cause, I can't help you with. But to give you a little bit of relief throughout, there's a couple of things that we can do. Usually, tension is when your muscles get really tense and then they stay tense for a long time. When you intentionally move your shoulder blades, like we were doing here, or doing these shoulder circles, that helps to shift some of the muscles around, and that might help relieve some tension where it's been stuck for a while. But that might not be enough. Your neck over here is going to have all sorts of muscles that you can stretch out too. We did the neck movements, so you might feel that pole going across your head when you're rotating, or we can also do stretches. If you take one hand, you grab the bottom of a chair. If you hold that hand out and you just try to imagine locking it in space, then you lean your head in the opposite direction. Then you give your head a really gentle pull. You're going to feel stretch run down the whole entire side of your neck down into your upper shoulder. From here, just hang out, breathe, apply a little gentle pressure. Come on to the other side, do the same on the other side. If you feel like the source of your tightness, or the tightness that you're worried about is a little further back, you can tuck your chin just a little bit, and you can apply a little pressure at a slight angle. Gentle, gentle, gentle pressure, all right? And that should change the part of your neck that's feeling the stretch. This you gotta be careful with because your neck is very sensitive, and sometimes the tension in your neck might not be worth the intense stretching that might need to come with it. But if your muscles are tight, you might not need very much to start relaxing, or at least feeling a little bit of relief. Again, the long-term cause from anxiety, from stress, that is that is, sorry, I was reading the comments. That might be enough, but we don't want to push so hard that you injure yourself with more neck stuff and then get more tension, right? If I'm doing a motion that looks like I'm going really fast and it's super twisty and crazy, it's not supposed to be that intense. You can do the same motion with way less momentum, way less strength. So whatever I'm doing, I might be doing a little fast because I'm in a bit of a rush today. All right, we got a couple more minutes. We did the necks, back, forth, up, down. We're gonna do the spine. The spine is very similar to the neck in that it can do all the same things. It can do that side bend, which is us trying to bring our ears down to our shoulders. It can rotate, which is what we did when looking left and right. It can forward and backwards bend, and we call it cat-cow. You can slouch real hard. You can anti-slouch real hard, and we're gonna do a couple of these. If you want, you can do these seated or standing, but you might need a little bit more control over your body. Typically, if you drop down to your hands and knees, to do this type of pose where your hands are underneath your shoulders, your knees are underneath your hips, you can get a little bit more out of the cat-cow. I want you to push your mid-back up into the air as high as you can. Belly button is coming up into the ceiling. Upper back is rounded. You are pushing your shoulders out. You're pushing your arms away from you so hard that your shoulders are going crazy and you're lifting all the way up into the air. Tuck your chin. Do the opposite. Bring the belly button down to the ground. Let it sink into the floor. Lift up your neck, look up into the air, and that is cat-cow. Doing this real gentle before lots of reps. For a lot of people will feel very, 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 very good. I recommend, if back mobility is not your cup of tea and you haven't done very much of it in the past, start with 5, 10 reps, but slowly work your way to 20, 30 reps. And the reason why I say this is because for most of us, we don't use our spines very much. And they get real stiff and get real bad at movement, and I'm including myself in that. My upper back does not bend well at all. And it is something I probably need to work on. But we do the other live, the side splits and hip mobility live, so much, there's not that much time I'm putting into thoracic spine or even shoulder mobility, both of which I need to put some work into. I hope that if you got a little bit more time, you can spend it on some cat-cow, because this really brings your range of motion to a thoughtful next level. Because you can feel the little changes, you can push up a little higher, you can round a little bit more, and as you do more and more reps, as your muscles get tired trying to get you into position for those reps, focus on getting that arch, getting that bend in, breathing. If you hold your breath, oftentimes it will hold you back from getting into your movement, and it'll hold you back. So make sure to breathe, inhale, exhale, relax. If you're moving and then you feel like air is just naturally escaping your lungs, that's probably a good time for you to exhale. If you need some air, that's probably a good time to inhale. It doesn't have to be super scientific. You don't have to do it any particular way. Just relax and see if the squishing and doing of things pushes air out of your lungs automatically. Alright. And also, you know, while you're letting it go automatically, occasionally turn on your brain and go, okay, I should probably take a breath. Okay. That was spine back and forth. Let's do some side bends. Alright? If you stand up nice and straight and tall, or against a wall, I don't have a wall, but against a wall, you can use that to keep your shoulder blades from twisting. We don't want twisted. We want drop into the left, drop into the right, drop into the left, drop in towards the right, drop into the left, drop in towards the right, drop in towards the left, drop in towards the right. I'm going a little bit fast. You do not need to go as fast as I am. Take your time. Let your spine bend to either side. Give it a second. Feel the stretch here in the side of your torso. And breathe. Inhale. Exhale. Sink into the lean. Inhale. Exhale. Sink into the other side. Feel the contraction here in your muscles. They're telling you we don't want to go, and we're going to just go, okay, cool, noted, and keep going anyway. Alright? This is gentle movement. We're not trying to do an ab crunch right now. We're just letting our bodies flop to either side. Maybe drape to either side. That's a little nicer of a word than flopping. It's not flopping. We're doing it with control. And whew, do a little wiggle at the hips. Wiggle with your spine. Do a little dance. Enjoy some of that extra looseness, the extra mobility. We're going to do some rotations. Alright? I want you to lead with your upper back. I want you to gently pull your shoulders over to the other side, and then relax and come back to center. And then push the other way, and then relax and come back to center. We want this rotation. It's going to look like your upper body is doing most of the work, but every little vertebrae in your spine, we want a little contribution, right? So if you're feeling a whole bunch of tension in just one spot, that might be something you want to get checked out. If you're otherwise slowly finding that you're rotating just fine, do a couple bit more reps. That's a lot of words. A couple reps more of this side to side, this rotation. If you want to make it more fun, more chill, you can let your arms relax. You can give your sides a little smack, and make sure to breathe. Inhale. Exhale. Remember, the goal is to rotate the shoulders, the upper spine, all the way to one side or the other, or further if you can, and not to go you can do that, but this is joint warm-up, alright? That's not the intention. So, now that we have moved our spine, move our necks, move our arms, let's move down to the hips and the knees. We're gonna start with some hip circles, real gentle. Just lean out, pop that hip, come around and to the other side. Push those hips forward, feel the hip flexors in the front, and keep on going. We're going to do, I don't know, 10 reps in each direction. These are really good for you. Alright? Most people have really tight hips. And you're gonna feel it in your hamstrings, you're gonna feel it in the sides, you're gonna feel it in the front. If you slow it down, you spend a little bit more time really leaning into the stretching-ish part, you might feel it a little bit more, but this is mostly about the joints. If you want to do more aggressive hip circles because you want to make a little bit more of a stretchy thing on top of the joints, please feel free to do so. But if you're feeling your muscles and you're feeling like, oh, this is crazy, it doesn't have to be. Joint warm-up is a little different from stretching. Because we're moving, some of the muscles are definitely going to be working, but the goal is to get your joints to go through their full range of motion. And getting some extra lubrication, some stimulation to the joints so your body does a better job of taking care of them. A lot of the time, when you don't use muscles, when you don't use tendons very much, they get weaker to match how much you do use them. And your body is just playing this game of, hey, you don't use this, we don't need to maintain it, and they let it go. Or you never use it like this, so why do we keep on retaining this capability? It takes a long time for your body to, completely change and stop making a thing that it used to make. But that's the general gist of it. When you don't use something in your body for long enough, it stops being prioritized by the body. So we want to go through all of our joints, make sure we have a lot of range of motion so that the body helps maintain the range of motion. Alright? And if you get some benefit out of loosening up some muscles along the way, amazing. Alright, those are hips. We're going to move down to our knees, we're going to do our feet, and then we're going to wrap up with the bottom of the legs. We're going to move on to our knees. What I want you to do is also knee circles. The knee joint, just like the elbow joint, primarily does this. It brings your heel up to your butt, and it straightens out your leg, right? But it has the ability to do a little tiny bit of side to side. You might notice it when somebody's doing athletic position and doing something like this, or pushing off, or like sprinting and changing directions really quick. There's a little bit of flexibility in the knee. It's not a lot, and that's why people often have a lot of knee injuries when they play sports, like soccer, where they have to change direction often, and they're doing this sort of twisting motion and pulling on the ligaments in the side of the knee. We're not going to do crazy twisting, but I want you to know that crazy twisting can hurt you. So be very cautious when we're doing this portion. All right? We're going to bring the legs together, relatively close, maybe 2 fingers or so in between, and we're going to lean slightly off to the side. This is it. Just slightly off to the side. Your feet are going to be doing most of that lean. Your feet shape will probably change. Try to keep your feet flat on the ground. Your arches will kind of collapse on one side, maybe your foot will slightly raise in some other parts, but keep them generally down on the ground. All right? With that slight lean, you should feel a little pressure here in the front of the knee. You don't have to go any deeper. Come around and do a little circle. Use your upper body to counterbalance when you do that lean, and keep going. Around, 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 around. These are real good for lubricating your knees. They're a little bit fun, and for some of you, this might not be very comfortable if your knees are not so good, but I recommend you give it a nice try and see if your knees feel a little smoother afterwards. This is one of those things where the accumulation over a long time, consistency, is going to be a big player in actually feeling better, because your body needs time to reshape your joints. It needs time to do stuff so that you actually move a little bit better. And the joints tend to be one of those things that take a lot more time to recover because they don't have their own dedicated blood flow. They don't get nutrients nearly as fast as your muscles do. So, don't give up on these. If something feels hard, don't skip it. Just try your best. And if it is really, really, really uncomfortable, maybe go check it out with a doctor. Check it out with a physiotherapist and find some resources on why it's hurting so much. But for most people, if you've just been avoiding some movement, it's not like you got an injury or anything, and it's feeling a little creaky, feeling a little unhappy, some gentle movement, lightly challenging the joints to perform for you is going to signal to your body that it needs to work on keeping this capability. It needs to take care of this joint. It needs to do some stuff. If you want to read more into this, tendons and tendinopathy, which is the pain in tendons, There's a whole bunch of sports scientists who do research on how to recover from tendon injuries as fast as possible. And it seems like it could be really easy compared to what we thought it used to be like, which was just let it heal for a really long time and hope for the best. Alright, those are the knees. If you haven't changed directions at any point, you might want to do that because we've been going one direction for a long time. But otherwise, it's time to move down to the ankles. Sammy says, how about I'm in a wheelchair, how do I get this moving? Good question. The knees are a little bit of a hard one, but if you can lift the leg ever so slightly so that you can more or less try to keep your leg stable, but get your ankles to move in these circles that you're drawing from the knee joint, that should be enough. You shouldn't be able to go crazy, right? If you're going with these huge circles, it's because your whole entire thigh is rotating, twisting at the hip. Your knee is not going to be capable of that much movement, so you really don't have to do much more. The main function of the knee joint is to go back and forth like this, right? But it can go a little bit to left and right. And if you can get a little tiny circle rotation, that's probably less stimulation than this. No, it's definitely less stimulation than this, but it's probably the closest that you can get in a wheelchair. It honestly, because you're seated and there's no pressure on the joint, it might not even be super worthwhile to do, because if your leg is floating around, there's no pressure on the joint, it's just hanging off the joint, and it's kind of two different movements, but that's the closest I think we can get you if your legs are perfectly straight, or sorry, if you're seated. Is that all I got to say about that topic? I think so. Alright, let's move down to the ankles. The ankles, just like the wrists, are able to go through a whole bunch of range of motion. And sometimes that's a good thing because it lets you do crazy stuff on your feet. Sometimes it's a bad thing because if your feet muscles are weak, you might roll an ankle, and that hurts. That's bad. So let's talk about and look at the ankle joint. I need a chair for this, don't I? I kind of do. Alright. If I'm not terribly far. No, I'm terribly far. Okay, hold on. Let me get one of these. Oh, wow, that's a crazy high chair, but this works perfectly. All right, your ankle's able to work through a whole bunch of range of motion. All right, most of us, we're not doing very much with our ankles. We're not very strong, we're not stabilized, we're stumbling around with our feet flat on the ground and not sort of making any adjustments. That is what shoes help us do. So shoes are doing a good job, but your ankles, your feet might not be doing such a great job. And part of the reason for that is also most of us walk around on flat, perfectly smooth floors most of the time, so your ankle's never making adjustments, and that just means that you're not challenging the ankle joints. Yes, you're taking steps and stuff and you're walking, and that's probably good for you. It's not bad. I'm not saying it's not enough to help with cardio things, signal to your body that you need to walk. But your ankle joint specifically is designed to do a whole bunch of things. So if you don't spend a little bit of time making sure that it keeps doing those things and keeps on going into crazy ranges of motion compared to your normal life where you probably step and step and step and step and the foot doesn't actually move that much. When you think about what your foot is capable of doing and going around in circles, making your toes work, tippy-toeing, hanging out on the sides of your feet instead of on the bottoms, you'll realize that you probably don't do very much of it. I'm just repeating myself now. Let's do some circles. All right? If you've never done this before, grab your feet and slowly bring, with pressure, your foot into some circles. All the way around and down, and all the way around and down, and all the way around and down, and keep going. It's not going to be a perfect circle. You're mostly imagining that you're painting like you're drawing a circle with your big toe, and not so much with your ankles. But for the sake of making these sound not like weird, make some ankle circles. Use outside force to bring your foot all the way around and feel that whole entire ankle joint. Do the same on the other side. When you have some understanding of what your ankle is capable of, you're like, okay, this is as high back I can bring the big toe towards the knee. This is as much as I can rotate it this way, and this is as far, you know, tippy toeing. I can make my foot, this is so weird describing what your foot is doing when you're seated. Tippy toeing, except pulling your toes back, I guess, and then however far you can bring it all the way around. When you sort of know how that feels, when you sort of know what your ankle is currently capable of, you can take it to the floor. You don't have to do it manually with your hands. You can use the floor for support and just bring your leg down towards the ground a little bit. Somebody I think just wrote, this is nice, good. Moving, it should feel nice. I know where we would prefer to sit in a couch and just chill, a lot of us, but movement should feel nice. Our bodies are designed to be doing stuff, to be moving, to be a little fidgety. Maybe not so good in modern day when you can't focus, but my bodies are designed to constantly be doing something, to be moving, and to be moving pretty well. So if it's been a while since you spent some time focusing on trying to move a little bit better, please enjoy the show. Do a little bit of gentle movement. Everything I do on Saturday and Sunday mornings is really light for the most part, or especially this part. We're just moving through our joints. The only goal is to bring your joints through their maximum range of motion and make sure that your body remembers that that's how those are supposed to work. You don't have to get strong here. We're not building muscle right now. We're just making sure that the body does its maintenance work properly. All right? When you show the body that you need something, when you're using the body in a certain way, actually using it, the body goes, oh, okay, we probably need to keep this. And it keeps on feeding nutrients to it, keeps on making sure that you get good stuff from it. All right? Oh, okay, we're gonna do one last move and we're gonna wrap up because I gotta go hang out with the boys. If you don't know, I'm in the middle of a bachelor party and we're still doing the laps because consistency is that important to me. And I also have good friends who are like, okay, that's fine, you can go do it. That's no big deal. Anyways, we're gonna do some feet stuff. What I want you to focus on for the moment is making a fist with your toes and then lifting up your toes as high as you can. Alright, it's not gonna be easy for a lot of people because you haven't used those muscles in a long time, and that's okay. But we're gonna try our best. Clench those toes together like you're walking on a really hot floor at the beach. Like the concrete that connects to the beach. You're like, oh my gosh, my toes are on fire. We don't actually need you moving, but we want you to clench your feet together because you're protecting your feet. You're like, oh my god! Making those fists. Alright? Flatten out those feet. Set your toes, just relax. If you can, experiment with splaying the toes, which just means send the toes out to either side as far wide as possible. Make them wide. And then we're going to try and lift the toes up. You don't have to splay them and lift up. You can just choose to lift them up. But we want the big toe off the ground, the index, middle, ring finger, toe, pinky toe off the ground. You should be balancing your weight sort of on the bone right here, underneath your big toe, and on your heel. And then we're going to make fists again. Fists. And then lift. And then 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 fists. And then lift. This is going to be very tiresome because your feet muscles probably aren't particularly strong at lifting up because you never need to do that. But that's what we're doing. We're spending a little bit of time working on some of the feet muscles, which kind of drifts off into not purely the joint stuff that we were doing before. But I think it's worthwhile to add it because most people don't spend any time on this, and I think you should. So, once you've done a bit of that, there's a couple of things I want you to experiment with. We don't have to do it together, but your ankles can be trained to do things like this, where your foot is rotated and you're just standing like this, right? For some people, as soon as you see a position like this, you're like, oh no, I've rolled my ankle. We've gone too deep. It's too far. No. When you put a lot of force on it, you take a step, and you're not strong enough to maintain it, you can definitely mess up your ankle. You can even mess up your knee when you misstep. But your ankle has a lot of range of motion. We just looked at it when we did this, right? It's capable of doing a whole bunch of different angles. And if you spend some time experimenting, hanging out with your feet in these angles, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to be resilient against something where you misstep, your foot rolls a little bit, and it might still hurt. It might still be really uncomfortable. You're still like, what the heck, I just rolled my ankle. But it might not lead to something where you're babying it for 2 weeks and limping. It might just lead to, oh man, that really hurt, and then be okay in a couple hours. So don't sleep on the benefits of movement. Having a little bit more mobility, having a little bit more flexibility, spending time in somewhat crazier positions that are only crazy because you're not used to them, can go a long way. And one of the places where we often see life has gotten real easy for us is in shoes and in the fact that almost everything that we walk on is perfectly flat. If you have more complex ground, that'll be easy to make your feet work a little harder, to make your ankle work a little harder, to challenge your balance. If you don't have complex ground like a holy backyard with lots of divots and things, or hikes through the woods and stuff like that, you might have to work on trying to bring your feet through the maximum range of motion. You might have to work on hanging out in little different positions. You might have to challenge them manually, and that's what we're doing. All right, that is our live. We're gonna wrap up for today. I'm gonna go hang out with the guys, and I will see you guys again real soon. I'm gonna take a quick look at the chat, and then we will wrap up. This is not our usual live. This is not our usual live location, but I wanted to make sure we threw in a quick live on Saturday and Sunday morning to stay consistent. Natco says, please wait. I'll take a look at the chat if you got something. Laura says, thanks. Enjoy your day. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. What else we got? Austin England says, hi. Faith talked about the neck and shoulders. I think I addressed that a little bit. Aesthetic is saying, Harmony asks, what's your schedule? Our schedule is every single night at 9 p.m. We do side splits and hip mobility. So it's a little bit more intense, a little bit more extreme than this thing. You don't have to be able to do side splits and hip mobility. That's an aspirational goal. I still can't do the side splits. This live exists because I want to be able to do the side splits. And what happens along the way is we get much better at moving our hips. And I've been doing this live for hundreds and hundreds of days, so my hips are moving a lot better. But that does not mean you have to come in with any skill whatsoever. We talk through pretty much every single exercise, and I do this live every single day. So if you don't get all the information you think you might need on day one, you can ask questions live. But also, you can just come back the next day and see if I explain it slightly differently. Because I try to say different things every day, even though the topic is the same. That is our 9 p.m. live. That's Monday through Sunday, every single day of the week. Right now, it's Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. And we generally do something a little lighter, because I wake up right before this live. And it's light movement based, right? There's a lot of joints in your body that most people are not going out of their way to use very thoroughly. And I've said this a bunch of times during the live, where if you're not using your capability, oftentimes your body just doesn't spend any resources maintaining that capability. Sometimes you'll realize one day that your hamstrings don't fold anymore, and it's because you don't need them to do anything oftentimes. You just sit in a chair, and you get out of the chair. You drive, you get out of the car. You do stuff that requires a certain very specific range of motion. If you never challenge your body to do things that your body is capable of, oftentimes they'll just be like, that's a waste, we don't need that. It's gone. Or if it feels like you're too weak to control a range of motion, they'll be like, that's a waste, we don't need that anyway, we never use it. Or, hey, they never use this, so they're kind of weak in that position. Let's remove that range of motion for the body so that you can't get into that position where you're weak, because your body doesn't want you to get hurt, right? That's the subconscious built-in systems in your brain that you're not necessarily commanding, but it's just how it goes, all right? So, big lesson is use your body to go do things. Not so big lesson is sometimes you gotta be very intentional about it in order to get the results that you want, all right? All right, what else we got? I'm gonna take a look at the chat. We got lots of thank yous. Thank you, thank you. A whole bunch of new people who I haven't seen before. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Netco, you can throw in a question real fast, of course. Slav says, bye, had a great time. Amazing. Jocelyn says, nice. I am says, thank you. And Sammy says, thank you. Exclamation point. Amazing. All right, I'm gonna scroll real fast to see if there's anything I need to address. Lua says, it feels nice. Amazing, amazing. Sammy says, thank you. Lua says, it hurts. Oh no. When you're moving into new ranges of motion that you haven't used in a while, it will tend to be a little uncomfortable. But if you're feeling really serious pain, you might want to stop. You might want to chill out for a little bit, right? Like a little funkiness in a joint that you never get to do like something weird in, that's normal because you just never done it before and your body's like going, what? What are we trying to do? This? And oftentimes when you're confused, and you're trying something new, you're shocked, you're expecting it not to go well, it'll feel like pain. But if it's pain, it'll feel like, you know, somebody just like stabbed you, like just aggressively poked you really hard. You know, it'll feel uncomfortable, right? Just normal stretching discomfort should not be recognized as pain. So wherever that distinction is for you, keep an eye on that pain. If it's really pain, you might want to go get it checked out. All right, what else we got? What else we got? We got people watching Twilight while stretching. That's great. That's absolutely great. If you can incorporate some movement into your life and make it easy for you to do, it's gonna be much easier to do it. If you can turn it into a dance, if you can have fun with it, that'll be even easier. Right? Chereth, happy birthday. Congratulations. I'm glad that this birthday you're planning to move really well. Thank you for being on the live so consistently. And I think that is about it. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And the Don's Digest asked, do I have a YouTube channel? I do. The YouTube channel is splits on the side, so it's the same as on TikTok, it's the same as on Facebook, it's the same as on Instagram. And most of these recordings or most of these videos are going to be posted as recordings in a little bit. Most people don't go watch them. I just like that YouTube hosts them for free and keeps a tracking log of all my videos. So that's what that's for. All right, I'm done. I gotta go.